This video is kind of difficult to make, really, because it's kind of hard to even delve into something like this, just feelings in general, right? I think it's just easier to open up with people rather than making a video about it that's going to be seen by people online, which is pretty much the reason why I actually took time during these last few years and actually kept up in my journal, which is something that I actually had been doing, but I stopped for a while and I've only recently gotten back into. And I think the reason why I'm talking about this is because I kind of look back and notice that the past few years have kind of gone by for me, just kind of gone by in a blur. Like, I don't really recall anything. I don't remember anything memorable that I've done over the past few years. After high school, I think that I've kind of just been alone in my own little world for the longest time. Not necessarily alone, like, I have my family and stuff, but it's just I kind of keep to myself and I don't necessarily talk about or open up about things that are going on in my head. And I think this kind of just brings me to another topic, which is the main point of this video, and that is kind of the fear of missing out, which for the longest time I kind of always just applied to like gaming and that sort of stuff. You know, like games nowadays have like battle pass and all those things where like if you don't buy something or even just shopping, kind of get the feeling that if you don't buy something or take advantage of something, you will miss out. And I've always kind of correlated the fear of missing out with that. I never quite attributed it to feelings or like memories or the fear of missing out on like just making experiences and memories. And now that I've kind of just grown older and I'm beginning to process these sort of feelings, I just kind of see myself, or I kind of just feel like I'm getting hit with an entire new wave of emotions. And when I refer to these emotions, it's kind of hard to even put a label on them because for the longest time I kind of just always suppressed any emotion that wasn't happiness, or even if I just wasn't like not happy but not sad either, like just normal, like feeling average. Any other feeling I would just kind of suppress. And I think that these feelings have kind of really started to creep now that I've been alone for the majority of my time, especially during my years at the university. And I never saw myself having that problem when I was younger because I always kind of had people around me, even if it was my small group of friends, that kind of just helped me think of other things, stop me from thinking about other emotions or other problems that were bothering me and just kind of help me keep me on a happier mindset, I guess. So I guess the reason why I wanted to talk about the fear of missing out is because I'm only just understanding it now. Even if it's not a lot, I just kind of see myself thinking about it more often than not. And I do realize now that I think during my high school years was when I started to recognize this type of feeling and I kind of started to notice how it was impacting me. When I talk about the fear of missing out, I do recall my high school years specifically. Towards the later end, I remember being in a small friend group and at the beginning, even when we first all just met, which was in middle school, we were like pretty close and everything. We would hang out, especially after middle school. After school, we would go out to a burger place nearby and just kind of chat, talk, and discuss, joke around. And once we transitioned into high school, that's when I kind of started to notice that I was being not left out, but I was kind of not being involved in the way that we used to be. And I think that's when the fear of missing out was starting to creep, but I didn't have any way to sort of explain it or like understand these new feelings. I also often look about the lack of interaction that we had outside of school during our high school years, and I look at that being as what kind of pushed me further away from my friend group, especially now. And I especially look back on times when we were having conversations in school and I kind of just felt like a bystander, Like, sure, I'd laugh and I'd probably make a joke if it was something funny. But more often than not, I just kind of felt like I wasn't as involved because often these conversations were about stuff that they did and I was never really involved during high school with my friend group, and so I kind of just really felt out. Like, I tried to fit in, and when you're trying too hard you kind of just feel like you're not really a part of that. So I do think back on these feelings and just the fear of missing out, especially during the conversations. And like I mentioned, after high school, well, actually during high school, during COVID, I did notice that they would interact outside of school a lot more, like posting on their social medias of going to restaurants or just doing basic stuff like hanging out, which was difficult because during COVID is when we were all in quarantine and we were, supposed to not meet up or be meeting with people. And for the longest time, when COVID was not a thing, I remember being invited to said social gatherings. But at that point, I kind of felt uninvolved with a lot of the things that were going on already in our friend group. And so I think for me, it just kind of felt weird to even want to be part of it because I felt like I would just be another bystander. Like if I was already feeling this way in school when we would be talking and conversations, I kind of would just feel the same way hanging out. And that's why I kind of distanced myself. I never accepted to join these social gatherings with them. And I kind of look back now, and that is probably a significant reason why I feel the way that I feel now, especially with making new friends. I've always had a difficult time making friends. And, when you know these people for a long time and then you suddenly start to feel like you don't belong, it's kind of difficult. It's like a harsh reality or a hard pill to swallow. And I kind of just stopped, really. After high school, I remember we would interact occasionally through texting. I remember being in a group chat with all of us, and I wasn't particularly involved in that group chat because, like I said, they would, have their own sort of conversations and their little inside jokes. And because I wasn't a part of it, I just kind of felt left out. And it was a difficult feeling because these were my friends for the longest time. And now I just kind of felt like an imposter, like Among Us. Around this time was kind of difficult even to put a label on what I felt because I did have the fear of missing out on all these friendships and connections that I built. And at the same time, I also felt like I didn't belong. So there was the fear of missing out on that, on, the memories that I could possibly share with friends and stuff. But then I also had the fear of missing out on being productive in school and work and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, I was in the university while this was going on, and I kind of just found it difficult to even make friends in an entirely new setting. And even when I did meet new people in class or outside of class, I often didn't reach out or try and establish new friendships, more so because I think I just kind of felt like I was being a disturbance or I was interrupting people, and I kind of felt unimportant. So that's why I didn't go out of my way and ask people if they wanted to hang out, or I didn't ask people for to just hold a conversation or something. And it's not like that's a new problem with me, it's just it's hard to kind of overcome it. So I guess just kind of being in this constant cycle of having a fear of missing out on friendships and relationships, and then also having the fear of missing out on being productive and moving up in life kind of just kept me confused. It kept me confused on what I wanted in life, and I kind of felt like I was just letting time go by and not exactly doing anything with my life. Having these feelings kind of just continued to keep me from taking risks and just continue where I was at. I wasn't at a terrible place. I was doing fine in school and stuff, but I kind of did start to feel like I was missing out on a lot of my life, and especially just kind of relationships in general, not just romantic ones, but even just trying to make friends. Because the thing about the university and college and life after high school is that a lot of the success that you find during those years comes from building relationships and meeting new people and just building connections. And for the longest time, I kind of just didn't do that. I kind of just thought that I'd work my way up or something, or I'd work my way into success, if that makes any sense. I kind of just figured that I'd build relationships later, and so I didn't pay much attention to that. And for a while, I kind of just kept that mindset of just sticking to only being productive, and I kind of find myself getting lost again. And I think the reason why I always thought that this problem would kind of sort itself out is because for the longest time during high school, I remember being wrapped up in all sorts of internal problems, or even just issues that were occurring in my life. And even later on after high school, I would run into issues and I'd always somehow find a way to overcome those challenges. And a lot of the time, or most often than not, I kind of just overcome these challenges just by just doing what I was doing. And eventually I would just kind of overcome them. And that's kind of why I just had that mindset of letting things resolve themselves. But obviously now I kind of look back and kind of just feel like I've wasted time. when it comes to making relationships and just kind of being happy overall, I feel like I've wasted a lot of time with that. When it comes to being productive and like actually trying to do something to move up in life, I feel like I've been doing pretty average though. So I guess I'm not completely lost, but just kind of confused, I guess. I guess the reason why I'm making this video in the first place is because there's kind of a lot of things that I want to get off my chest and I guess just open up in a way. I think that this is, generally speaking, a good step in changing or starting the process of changing, because for the longest time I've kind of just kept these feelings inside, and you know, writing in my journal is probably one thing that can help. But I think the reason why I even created this channel in the first place was kind of just to have a conversation about a lot of things. And if you look back, I kind of just talked about whatever, you know, it wasn't anything too serious, and even when it was serious, I didn't even make it sound serious. I kind of just joked about a lot of things, and I guess this is a perfect opportunity to kind of just talk about the shift in content that I would like to make, because looking back on my older videos, I do notice that even when I was in the editing process or like when I was making them, I wasn't particularly happy with a lot of the videos that I made, but I just kind of made them because I thought they'd do good. And so I'd kind of like to shift away from making that sort of commentary type of stuff where I was talking about a specific issue or a topic, and I kind of would like to do stuff that is more personal, kind of just having a conversation about feelings or just stuff that I'm kind of just interested in. But I guess I'll also kind of just do variety content, to be honest. I'm not going to totally focus on just talking about feelings and stuff. I kind of would like to also just do gaming and stuff, and I kind of would just like to not restrict myself to one specific genre, because I think I've noticed now that when you restrict yourself to just one thing, it just kind of messes you up. And I mean, I'm a perfect example of that, where I've restricted myself to kind of just worrying about work and school and studying, and I completely forgot about friendships, relationships, and that sort of stuff. And so now I'm just completely messed up and unsatisfied. So yeah, I'd kind of just like to take the opportunity to address that I'd kind of like to make the shift in content. I started this channel with the intention of building an audience and just kind of having someone to talk to, and maybe not open up, because a lot of my earlier content was just kind of talking about something and it wasn't anything too serious. But I kind of would like to change that now. Like I mentioned, I kind of would like to do these videos occasionally where I kind of just open up, but I would obviously like to be a little bit more happy in the stuff that I produce. So like, I'm not gonna be always like this super serious and stuff. So yeah, that's the end of this video. I know it's kind of different. It's probably a little bit more personal, and there's probably going to be some people that are kind of uncomfortable by the topic or this sort of tone, and it's probably not a sensitive topic, but it's probably something different. And yeah, if you guys have anything to talk about in the comments, I'd love to hear, honestly. And yeah, that's it for this video.